The Red Sprites are essentially like a mini aurora above a storm. It's a really brief flash, but it's where the upper atmosphere gets excited into these crazy shapes, all different kinds of shapes and sizes, and they flash red. And it's almost like the process of the aurora where the atmosphere is getting excited for, in the case of a Red Sprite, a brief moment in time.
Yeah.
So it kind of tied in. To chase Red Sprites for me is kind of tied in with my whole enjoying storm chasing and my night sky experience, bringing down from shooting Northern Lights in Canada and whatever else. So yeah, it's been a really fun process, kind of figuring them out, and really they aren't that well known. So really, to get most information from them, you've got to get into actual scientific journals and kind of read through them and flick through them and decipher all that fancy scientific lingo, and try and translate it into the real world and figure out where I can shoot them and how I can shoot them. So it's been a fun kind of process, and very rewarding, extremely rewarding.
What have you kind of found out then about that? Like from, and it's obviously it's quite an unknown, most people. Can you see them, you say for a brief moment, did they just come up on camera, or can you see them in person as well, like for a brief moment?
You can see them, you can see them with your eyes, yeah. If you're in dark enough skies, and your eyes are night adjusted, you haven't been looking at your phone, right? And you're looking in pretty much the right spot. Like they might only fill a small box like the size of your fist in the sky. So if you're not looking right at it, you might not even see it. Yeah. And it's so fast that's the main reason people, the most commonly asked question is like, I've never seen this before, this is fake. It must be fake. How have I not seen this before? Well, it's super fast, right? Like it's you wouldn't, unless you were looking right for it, you wouldn't see something that transient. So but when you're looking right at it and your eyes are adjusted, they're very obvious.
And is there anything that's kind of like surprised you from researching it? And because is there some spiritual things towards it as well from certain like communities that think it's spiritual, or like, is there anything that's just popped out? Like, I mean, it's not just like red jellyfish in the sky. Like, it looks incredible, but I'm sure people take different meanings for different things too.
Yeah. I don't know. Some things I've been interested in is like looking at some of these cave paintings that you see around, like what were they trying to tell us back then? Sure. Could this have been that? And I mean, you do kind of try to fit the puzzle together as best you try to make it like you go out with an intent of connecting Red Sprites to cave paintings, you're going to be able to make that connection, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, who's to say what was going on? But I mean, I just think now I've seen so many. I think if ancient man sitting on the plains, no light pollution, and you just know they were fascinated with storms and weather and stuff, right? Yeah. So they were probably sitting watching storms in the distance. They had to have seen them. Yeah. Had to have seen them. So it just makes me the one thing that I think is how I mean, they were only really discovered in 1989 when they were captured on camera. So I just think of all that time before that, all that eyes that have seen them. How was it communicated? How did it not become common? How did it not become common knowledge until 1989? That's a fascinating thing to me.
Yeah, well, and the places that you're at, like you're in the middle of nowhere, right? Like it's, you're for the most part, obviously, to be in the middle of nowhere, you don't have light pollution, so clear skies, middle of nowhere, and you just have that moment. You're like, for thousands of years, people have probably seen these. Right? Yeah. And now, only since 1989, we have seen these because it's been caught on camera. But like, yes, I mean, they're a pretty powerful moment to be out there, right? And you just, even if you're with someone on your own, you're like, this is really freaking cool.
Yeah. I had my first workshop guest, when he first saw one with his eyes, he cursed And then he said, I came here because I didn't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, thanks. He's like, no, but I really didn't believe you. But like, he's like, this is wild. He's like, how have we not? How do people not know about it? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of weird that it's something so fast, and if you're not looking for it, maybe because it's so fast, your brain doesn't put two and two together that it is something other than a flash in the sky, if that makes sense. And so you need to have that flash in the sky is this, so that now when you see that flash in the sky, you know what it is. I don't know if that makes sense,
that makes
but
sense.
it's like, it's very, very, very cool.
Yeah.
And you know, in Oklahoma, most people live in light polluted areas, so yeah, we see storms and stuff, but to actually see the dark night sky is something that's very uncommon for the average person in Oklahoma, you know, driving from Oklahoma City to wherever at night, or once you get east of I-35, there are trees and there's a lot more light pollution because there's a lot more people. So I just don't think it's something that people have the opportunity to see anymore with all the light pollution.